Hey, everybody, welcome to the live finale recap. Oh my word. It's been a season of ups and downs of everything in between and even spoilers from the man himself. Hey everybody, well, how are we feeling this morning after the finale? John Bill's like, I don't even want to talk about it right now. Like, no.
Okay, so the finale was great. As you all know, if you tuned in last night, we had a really fun watch party with all our awesome crew over in Indy. So if you are ever in town, you should always like go fouling or fouling. I think again, fouling makes more sense, but whatever. I think it's called fouling. It was great. The finale party itself was so like lit. People were having a ball, like really just it's a whole community, it's a whole vibe. Hey Carmini. But yeah, the finale it was a finale. The Jeff part was probably the best part of the finale, in my opinion. I don't care. People are like, I can't believe you made this. I didn't even catch it. The guy next to me is like, oh my gosh. I'm like, are you okay? He's like, he just ruined it. I'm like, no, I'm okay. Everything's fine. He's like, he just gave it away. And I'm like, that was great. Epic.
Epic. Yeah. It was the highlight. I loved the looks between the player and the jury that were just like, dude. It was funny. Alex, what did you think of that?
Of the spoiler, yeah, I mean, it wasn't that bad because I mean, it wasn't a close competition, so it was over pretty quick. It wasn't, from the start of the challenge, it was pretty obvious that Jonathan was going to win. But yeah, that was a pretty big mistake. And what has it been, 20 seasons since he's done a live one? I don't know how that mix up happens though. I mean, how did that mix? How many points of failure have to
He's not
happen
watching what we're watching.
Yeah,
He is
Rizzo's
running
head.
around in between. So I
Right.
don't think he knows what happens. So he's not watching the show like we
Jumbotron.
are. And
Yeah.
so he comes back from a break, right? And he's okay, we got to go live again. And then he does his thing. And then he doesn't even understand or realize. I know he noticed the jury kind of like surreal looks. So people like,
How
you
did
just
they know, but he didn't though? Like, can we talk? Like, I'm confused. I am confused
he's
about
not
that.
paying attention, and
This
he's
one
just
too.
worried about production.
Yeah,
Like,
he's worried about the band being on time. He's worried about making sure that Rizzo's lined up, and it wasn't just Jeff. Rizzo was ready to go out there in the back, and just they tell him to come back. So it was basically, as somebody that does events all the time, it's there's 15 different Excel sheets open, and this has to happen. The band has to play, and the crowd has to react, and everybody's doing it. So it was simply them going over the schedule, being like, oh, this scene is about Rizzo, and they probably just switched it. Just a minor, but very fun. Very fun. He recovered really well. He recovered
with
so
Carmini.
well.
I think it was a producer error too. I'm not 100% sure what happened. I know that Rizzo has made a video about it, and he's like, I'm sitting down relaxing, waiting to lose at Fire. And then they're like, you're on. And he's like, really? Yeah. And then he said when Jeff asked him about it, he's like, I guess we'll find out. It's like, oh,
It-
Rizzo.
which was epic of Rizzo to do that. But and here's the thing, I have kind of an opinion that I think the stagehand or whoever, I think there were people that might have known that it was out of order, but like when it's happening live, you don't get a lot of time to change, like to fix anything. If that's what's happening and they're like, wait a minute, but then how do you tell Jeff he's wrong? Like,
Is he
I
got an
don't.
earpiece in?
You would think he
No,
has an
but
earpiece.
it was too late. I mean, cut the feed. Isn't the live feed like? I don't know. Like I said, it wasn't a big deal since it's kind of so it wasn't the winner,
Right.
So it wasn't like that terrible. But
And
pretty
he joked
funny.
about that then. He was like, I could just announce the winner right now for you guys if you guys want me to.
Right.
So he did a great job for lay off of Jeff, folks.
Yeah,
Lay
thank
off
you.
the man.
Johanna's with us as well. She's literally
Recovery was
a
10
10 out of 10. People are talking so much mess about the recovery online. Like, okay, you go out, you do a live thing in front of a gigantic studio audience and half the world watching.
We do
and
it
try
every
not to get
Thursday.
Yeah, like try not to make a mistake. Like, hush. I get to people who are complaining about it. I was like, no, shut up.
And it's been 5 years, 10 seasons where he hasn't done live anything in front of anybody. For the love of God, I mean, he did the thing out of his garage before he's done it live for the season 41. So, Jeff, you're good.
And now they never will again.
Because now they never will again. Yeah, we're back to pizza and wine. So stop criticizing.
Well, the reunion wasn't really much of a reunion either. We didn't get to hear who would have voted for Rizzo if he would have went to the end. Why'd you vote for him? They didn't do any reunion stuff. They gave Aubrey a car. They did all this. They didn't do we got one coachism. It was
a game show.
Ask people a question. And then they interweaved it with the episode, which I think that's just there's so many risks in that, where you have Cirie coming up and winning the Cirie Award, and then Ozzy getting it. It's like that's not the way to do it. Let the entire thing play out. We can get some live reactions. I did kind of like how it mixed it up a little bit, because the episode can be kind of long and they're in the studio. You want to see kind of what's happening there. But it was kind of weird. I mean, they used that in place of the normal reunion, which is usually a full hour. They're asking them questions. They're rehashing things. Why'd you do this? Why'd you not do that? How are Rizzo and Charlie now? And why did you all hate Jonathan? To be fair, with social media nowadays, what we didn't have 5 years ago was 15,000 people finding the answers in 15,000 ways. So half the questions he was probably going to ask have been answered by their Instagram, by their this, by their that. It's always fun to see it with all 24 up there, or 23 since Mike was somewhere else. So it's always cool to see everybody's reaction when it comes to that. And again, when we were at our live party, 80% of the people went home before they started doing the reunion. So is the ratings thing a situation too, where just, okay, it's 10 o'clock in Eastern time zone. Nobody really is here to watch this except for maybe the few that die hard. So I thought it was okay. So let's make this the reunion we all wanted to see. How about that?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So last night, you guys were doing a pre-show live event from Indianapolis. It was very exciting. We didn't really see Devins very much there, even though it was his idea to do this. But Jeff and I held it down. She was going live and asking people questions, and it was a lot of fun showing us what was happening in Indianapolis. And we got to talking, and I did say the part that I am really looking forward to the most. And we talked about it, right, Jeff? We were like,
we really spent some time on that. Yep.
And here's the thing, the difference, Brandon, from having it discussed in that format at the live reunion, is because they're in front of each other, because they're all together in one group. Interesting to see the interactions, and when somebody says one thing and the other person is like, I didn't say that, or something. We don't get that on social media. We might get some comments or whatever, or some back and forth. But see, that's the thing about that live reunion, is you get their honest answers. We get
candid. Yep.
And they all just found out who won. Supposedly they all just found out who won, and so there is that immediate reaction to the winner is Aubrey, and it's I wanted to see that so badly. It was heartbreaking that we didn't.
Yeah, so I agree with that. First of all, shout out, hey Ken, thanks for joining. Happy you're here. But I 100% agree. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's all I was waiting for, but it was a big deal. I wanted to know how Cirie responded to Rizzo. I wanted to know how Ozzy felt about Cirie. I wanted to know what people felt after it happened, and I feel like we really kind of missed that. We're harping on the fact that we found out 2 seconds too early that Jonathan was obviously gonna won against Rizzo. It's like people are so focused on this, and I'm like, no, focus on the fact that we're not having what should be one of the best, most iconic reunions ever. I mean, I don't know. I agree. That was a little bit no, my soul. So
I wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear more from Jonathan. I actually thought, and we're going to get into this later, but I actually thought counsel gave me, sorry, Joe, not for you, but Jonathan and Aubrey did.
Was Joe at counsel?
I think he was there.
He was there.
I didn't see him.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Y'all, now Joe's a ghost? Okay, guys. Wow.
Bronze and yawns. That was Joe's game.
Yeah. And I also kind of
I don't understand why he didn't get one vote. Like, whatever.
well,
Okay.
because I'm a petty bitch.
Uh,
I wanted that karmic reaction. I wanted someone to say to Rizzo, you would have been in that final 3 if you hadn't burnt your bridges with 2 people that had your back the whole time.
he would have been in that final 3 if he had taken 10 minutes out of his entire time on the friggin' island and learned how to freaking make fire.
This is true also.
Like,
That's true.
they give Ozzy a shirt. Oh,
Yeah.
hi, Obilla. If I said your name wrong, just put it phonetically in the chat.
It's
I got it.
Obiye.
Oh, B. Is it really?
Mhm.
Because I
It's
love
Italian. I don't know.
love
I don't know.
it. Okay. But no, I just feel like, yeah, he had an opportunity to what I consider to do something great. All he had to do was practice. I realized he came straight from 49 into 50. He spent a lot of time laying down, relaxing, not really helping around camp. I don't understand why, after losing the fire, this boy has never been voted out. I don't know if he's ever had a vote towards him. I'm trying to think. And he gets to this point where he's going to get eliminated by fire again. I mean, don't get me wrong. That edit, hold on, Brandon, that edit had me thinking that he had it. My man I was like, he got it. Okay, don't do that. It was a good edit. Oh my God. Okay, go.
John Bill.
What?
Rizzo's first game equals Rizzo's second game, the same way that Russell Hans's first game equals his second game. Back to back is very hard to do. You don't get a chance to learn. You don't get a chance to hear anything. Russell played the same exact game he played the second time and got the same exact placement. Rizzo did the same thing, same exact placement. This is a game that Rizzo had, and
He did.
Had he won in that commotion game, which is the most I've ever seen him work on that island the whole entire season.
I actually thought he might.
I don't know. They got too heavy for him. And had he won that, I think that he would have won in the final 3. Because at the end, it was about honor versus integrity versus don't do honor versus integrity. That was about, we've been saying all season, new versus old. That's how it's going to come down to tribal. It wasn't. It was clearly, we want to see the game of Cutthroat Survivor versus the honor and integrity game that the Zoom Alliance created.
Alex, what are you thinking about all of this mayhem?
I felt like Jonathan, played the better game in this game of Survivor. He played the better game than Aubrey. He was in control post-merge. He came in with this huge alliance. He got really unlucky with Coach and Chrissy getting out in this weird twist situation, but he still maintained control. But, I mean, I think it's colored by he was kept around by people because he wasn't a threat and they knew he was unlikable and he likely wouldn't win in the end. Unlike Sari, who was a threat, or Christian, who was a threat, or Devins, like they kind of let Jonathan be. Yes, he made most of the moves. He drove most of the votes. He did most of the things similar to Joe, but again, Joe couldn't win in the end, similar to Jonathan. So I do think he played the better game. But I think that he was able to play the better game because he was unlikable and everybody knew he's not going to win in the end. Okay. So that's why Aubrey won, and if you looked at the final jury, a lot to be said about the final jury, right? It wasn't really a jury. It was this like open conversation and everyone's jumping on top of each other. I didn't like how the new school jury is. I like when they get up one by one, they have their time, they say their piece, everybody else is quiet, that's what I like. But it was just a very biased jury because these people have 20 years of history. Some of them have 20 years of history. Aubrey has deep history with Sari, and so those relationships really colored their opinion, their questions, how they came into tribal. And so I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That's just the nature of how Survivor is and the podcast, and they do all these reunions, and how many people were just at the Survivor 50, all the players are intermixing and making relationships outside of the game, but it didn't create an impartial jury. Everybody came in with their opinion, and it seemed like everybody just dug their feet in and affirmed their opinion instead of coming on with an open mind.
Well, I was pissed that they even like I don't care that Aubrey has been in this game that many times and has 137 days. She's crying her eyes out telling us that. Like I wanted this to be based more on how
Season
they
50.
this season. How, in my opinion, I think Jonathan played better than Aubrey did. First of all, he has a lot less experience, if you want to talk about that. He doesn't have 137 days. He did the right things in the off season to like really work on his game, working with Boston Rob and doing these different things. And I thought, he surprised me. Did not surprise me. Her snake in the grass, I'm telling everyone's secrets to everybody. That was my strategy. That's not a strategy. I get it. She wanted agency and she was scrappy a little bit, but like I don't like how she plays the game, which is probably why I wasn't thrilled that she won. I liked that and I wasn't a huge Jonathan fan. I mean, yeah, he's awesome, and I definitely would have him on the island with me if I was ever stuck on an island, because I wouldn't starve and I would have fire and I would have a structure to live in. So great. And he also, but he worked on his skills with people. He really like listened to Rob and made sure that he was had a more well-rounded game that I think Aubrey did.
Package is what some say.
The package. He had the full package. Yeah, they said that too. So this is kind of what I'm looking at when I'm seeing these two at the end. So I kind of discounted Joe. I think Joe is probably an amazing human. And I've seen him be an amazing human. And I love that his wife is taller than him. Can I just point that? And, but he's not in it for me. It was really down to Aubrey and Jonathan. And if we looked just at 50, I do think there's something to say that like Aubrey had this like a bigger target maybe than Jonathan did, but I do think Jonathan still played a better game, and I would have liked to see him win.
Well, and here's the thing too, when it comes to that, Jerry, going back to the question, that's one of our, I think her name is, Bill. I'm taking, where's she at? She asked a question about Stephanie and
I was I'm gonna still stick with Obila, but go ahead, that question.
So, Bill, do you think Steph and Chrissy hurt Jonathan's chances? There are sometimes, I will admit this as a red-blooded American, that I will not read up on some candidates, and I need to read up on who I'm voting for. I get that, but there are some people that are pushing me to vote some way. I'm just like, I'm turned off so much by you that I don't vote for them. And I do think that there was some bias that was happening probably at Ponderosa between these two groups of people that allowed some people to be like, hey, I was going to consider that person, but you are ticking me off so much. And especially these people that just got voted off within the last 3 days. Remember, we're not voting people off every 3 days. We're voting off people every 24 hours at the end. And so there was a lot of bias that I think a 39-day season would have been more beneficial for them to get some food in Ponderosa and have better connections at Ponderosa. But there is a lot of lobbying, I'm sure, taking place. Especially my whole thing is, was Jonathan the reason he didn't win based on this Zoom alliance that was created before the game? Camilla was ticked off, and everything you read about finding out people were pregame at the very beginning. And the only people that voted Jonathan were the pregame alliance people. So my wonder is, Jonathan, could he have won this game had he not, or had they not found out about the Zoom alliance? I don't know.
I love the pre-gaming. I think it's all about it. When you're a returning players and they've had so history, it's just going to be what it is. And we saw some of it in 40 as well. I don't have any problem with it. I'm perfectly fine if they pregame. Y'all have the same ability to pregame. Y'all the Camilla just doesn't know enough people. That's what she's pissed about. She doesn't have as many friends, right? So that's probably where from her. She got Kyle, but
well, if you're going to have 5 people pregame, then you better not have anybody find out about your pregame, because now it's pregamers 5 versus non-pregamers, 19. you're going to at least at that final tribal, that could be a point against you. Be like, well, Aubrey was sitting here. One of the things that sold her game was her individuality. So Sari was like, you be you, girl. Like you be exactly who you are. You be an individual. And I wonder if part of that was, hey, you didn't try to gel with a group of people like you did before. You've learned from your game. You had the biggest arch coming in here of losing, and then finally getting it right. So I think there's a lot of things that played into that, and I think it includes that.
Well, I mean, look at this. Why didn't Jonathan win? He's a big guy, and is he super charming? No, I mean, he's not really that charming. He has this, when he wins, he's rubbing in people's faces. He's kind of this sore loser type of character. He's doing the pecs. I mean, he's got some like Gaston, but like in some ways, he wasn't able to build that, he wasn't able to get people on the jury to like him, and that's, I guess that's it, right? And if people don't like him, then he's not going to win. I mean, look at what was her name? The lady with the red hair, the hairdresser. I can't recall her name right now.
The Dragon Queen,
right? Dragon Queen. She won just Lexi, right? She won just because she was so likable. Or Mackenzie. Yeah, Mackenzie. So likable, or Yam, right? Jam. Like, he was so likable. So you have these people who are just so much more likable, with the returning player. I mean, and also Sari, I think she got her way on the jury too, and she could sway a lot of people. I mean, she swayed Ozzy, she swayed Tiff, and then you also had Christian and Devins, thank you, who liked Aubrey, gave her the idol, Nerd Alliance, Emily too. So I mean, did Jonathan play the better game? Yeah, but Aubrey just had way more friends, and I mean that's on Jonathan too. He should expect that. He needs to take somebody else. I mean, so as much as, did Jonathan play the better game? I mean, if you're taking, and that's why Aubrey, this is why they are threats. That's why Aubrey is a threat, is because she does have all those friends over. That's why Sari is a threat, because so many people respect her. That's why Ozzy, because they have these stories, and just to say, well, she didn't play a game because, so the big two moves that Aubrey did was she gave away her idol, making her vulnerable. She didn't have to do that. And what was it? Slow motion, remote. She bought it off Etsy.
Samotion.
I mean, that Samotion, like, that's a winning move to do that, because you're going to need it.
Wait,
like,
what was it?
She
bought the game, the final challenge game, Samotion. She bought it off Etsy, built it in her house, and practiced it, which is why she won. She's never won a challenge before or something. First, practice. So that right there is a winner's move.
Okay. I don't know. I have to hear me out, and because I'm gonna bring attention to a comment from Bald Wheezy in the comments, who said, "I never understood why Jonathan's game got so much."
Bald Wheezy
in the house, and I agree. And I'm listening to y'all. I'm listening to you guys talk about Jonathan and say he's not likable, and I don't see it.
I didn't say he was not likable.
The certain people.
He's
well,
not. He's not. We're not on the island.
Affiliation. I think that's
I think it's a political affiliation too.
Yeah. So he's not. He's not on the side of good.
Right, but
I know Stephanie got a lot of flack for that.
Yeah,
this is the issue with Survivor, is that at the end of the day, it ends up being a popularity contest, and it doesn't matter how good you played, or how hard you worked to the end, or how many competitions you won, or how many times you carried your team on your physical back or pecs. It doesn't matter, because you're not as likable as Aubrey. I love Aubrey. Yeah,
But isn't this also, like, as much as I totally agree with you, like, I'm a Survivor purist in the sense that, like, I want the best strategy to win.
Yes.
But this is also supposed to be a representation of real life. Isn't that exactly how real life works?
You know what? That's not what we ask. Give me a second. Let me figure out. Give me one second, because he comes with his darn mic drop moments, trying to ruin my point that Jonathan deserved his flowers. But you know what?
I wanted Jonathan to win too.
Well, if it was following the patterns here in the United States, Jonathan would have won. No. I think that I didn't look into any of that. I knew stuff about Stephanie. That was really the only thing. wanted to see the game. I am the purist. I want to see the game played. I want to see the best players. I loved that about this season. I got to see some of my favorite players back on the island doing. Devon's brought joy. I know that Jeff said it last night on the show. That the word that I kept using. I'm like, he just brings so much joy and laughter. He's still doing it. And I've started following him on stuff so I could see the goofy stuff that he's been doing. And so I really enjoyed all of that. I didn't want it to be political because I'm literally overwhelmed with political crap in the United States right now as it is, that I needed something me into a different space and let me just like get a mind numbing break of just enjoyment. And so I guess I didn't like even pay attention to any of that and didn't hear it and didn't know about it or whatever. I was just players and how they played. And I do think one of the questions was would Tiff, if Tiff was in instead of Aubrey, which is what it should have been if they'd listened to Tiffany and basically like Riz, that his biggest mistake was not recognizing that Aubrey was old school. And I said it last week, Aubrey is old school. And if an old school player makes it to the end with a jury that is full of a lot of old school players, she is going to win. And they're going to get that sentimentality with her that, oh, she's been here 137 days. Aubrey, you said it like 3 times at Tribal. We get it. So that's my little rant.
I don't know.
Well, they also didn't know, you know, it was a high likelihood that it was going to be the challenge. Tiff doesn't have essentially because the fans voted on it. But so that's how Aubrey knew that challenge was one of the 3 options. It wasn't a challenge for Tiffany. It wasn't a strength challenge. It wasn't an endurance challenge, you know, and how do they know that Aubrey's going to be super? I mean, it was like it was a risky bet, right? They made the wrong bet. And I do wonder if Tiffany goes in because she doesn't have the relationship with Christian or Emily or Devins, right? It could have been a totally different thing. You know, Rizzo could have won, even if Tiffany goes to the final with Jonathan and with Joe. You know, Tiffany, Jonathan, Joe, like that's up in the air. Like that's a much more interesting tribal. So I think you're right, Bree. They did make a huge mistake taking any old schooler. They shouldn't have. That's a really huge blunder on Jonathan and on Joe. And wasn't brought up at all, you know, really that there was this, but I want Brandon, you've been, you know, what are you saying, Brandon?
He's pondering.
Well, let's not forget that Tiffany had 4 immunity wins. She only went to tribal council 9 times. And 7 of them she had to go because it was like, you know, the one tribe. So their tribe,
They've been trying to get her out since D.
Did not go at all. She didn't go in, even when she was swapped, she didn't go to tribal at all. She had 3 immunity challenges that she won, and that is part of the game. I know we sometimes forget about that piece, but as far as her physical prowess, awesome. She also was the most chill, calm, cool, collected when she lost things. They put in the edit just how calm she was. She wins this immunity challenge, which probably saves her for a vote or 2. And she hasn't gone this huge immunity run, and then they vote her off a little bit earlier, perhaps, if her feet didn't disqualify her from the action. So to me, I think she did have the relationship. She had a relationship with Ozzy and Joe during that Italian meal, and yada yada yada. So I think that she had Sari, she had B. So I do think that she had enough, plus the physical thing that was needed to win this game if she got to the end. If she won that challenge, if she put that last puzzle piece, if Jonathan would have hurled one more time over the edge of this platform. I do think that Tiffany could have won this game, and it was going to be an uphill battle with Joe and Rizzo especially, but maybe even Jonathan for his lack of relationships. He was better this time, but not
the
great.
Swing votes on this one are Christian, Emily, and Dev and Rick. Those are the swing votes, right? Because you have Sari, Ozzy, and well, I guess Tiff would be on the jury in that situation. Rizzo, I guess, you know, whoever, right? So that Sari and Ozzy, and then you have the Zoom Alliance, right? You have the caught from the same cloth people. You have D, so I guess you could put D with Sari. So there's kind of a solid 3, and then you have, like I said, Christian, Emily, and Devins, who are in the middle, who I don't think were super aligned with Tiff. I don't think they were super aligned. I mean, Christian, I think, had some respect for Jonathan. So I think that's where the votes were up for grabs. All the other ones, I think, were pretty locked in their different parties. But I think those were maybe a little bit more up in the air.
Yeah.
And Emily, too, had this unbiased perspective of Joe. She was the only one who, I agree, like, you know, Suri had this really nasty comment about Joe. I was surprised by Suri's comment, like, you know, he played a different game. He actually said, too, I used my honor and integrity as, you know, I was faking you out because I actually did play dishonorably. So you're coming up and saying you're laughing behind my back because I'm honorable. Like, first of all, there's this really nasty thing from Suri. I didn't really understand it. But he's like, but actually that was a trick. And my actually game at the end proves that I used that honor integrity to trick Ozzy to believe me that I wasn't voting him out. So who's really laughing? I voted off your number one. You know what I mean? But he's too nice. You know, he's not going to say that. So, and you see, like, he's, you know, people were poo-pooing his game the whole time. And at the end, coach said, what I need to hear from Joe is that, you know, I was honorable, and then I changed, and I wanted to play differently, and that's exactly what it did. But people didn't really see that. Only Emily did.
Yeah, I think
so. I think, like I said, she is a swing.
Yeah. Hey guys, as is typical Johnville, I gotta hop off here. I'm gonna let you all wrap this up and bring it to a close. But thank you everyone in the chat. I am also Fuqua buying the Samotion ball drop machine. So next time you all see me when we get back on here, we're gonna play some Samotion and we're gonna see how I would do at Survivor. But you all know I can't actually go because, you know, there's leaves. I'm Suri in her first season. Don't want to touch leaves. That's me, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not. So I'm out. But everyone, congratulations. Great season. Thanks for being with us through all of this, and glad that I was able to be here. See you, Big Brother time.
We loved having you. Thanks so much, Johnville. We've got more things coming up. This summer, we've got some plans. Johnville and I were scheming last night. So for maybe some new stuff coming your way. We'll see how it all works out, but thank you so much for being amazing, and we love having you here. All right, and Ruth has just hopped in the building as well. All right, before we bring Ruth, your fan of the week, I wanted to get into a little bit about who exceeded expectations this season and who was our biggest disappointment.
I think no doubt about it. I think people were excited to see Rick Devens on their screen one more time, but I think he developed a huge fan base. I think all the charts show that his Instagram social media account, which is how we measure things in the world these days, his popularity has skyrocketed. He was one of the most loved fans. I would have been not surprised if he would have won Sia's award and not Suri. That's how popular he was, which says a whole lot about his game. And for me, he definitely was almost maybe even the player of the game. And I hope that because of his crazy gameplay, that allows everyone the permission to do the same thing.
Agreed. What about you, Alex?
I mean, Suri, I think, played a really awesome game. I think she just got screwed at the end because of the twist, right? I think she would have been super dominant if there wasn't this, you know, final twist where they split up tribes, just really weird stuff. So I think Suri did exceed expectations in this season, and then just, you know, ended up, you know, I think Jonathan did also. I don't know if he was in the final 3 pick for a lot of people. He did play a different game. He wasn't able to, you know, change part of his personality. Joe too, I mean, for as much hate as he got, his game did change pretty radically at the end, and he owned up to his mistakes and changed, you know. And I mean, of course, Aubrey too. I mean, did she play this crazy game? She played the middle, was able to survive. I mean, very kind of, I think what made Aubrey's game a little bit lackluster was how flat most of the twist fell. So the whole season, you know, it started off pretty strong, and then the whole season kind of went flat just because these twists didn't like really pan out how they thought they would, you know, and it created kind of a stagnant game versus a very dynamic game, which is what they were hoping for with all these twists. And then like the twist just completely stopped too. You know, it was like twist. And then like the last, 2-3 episodes, 0 twist. Like I thought they'd maybe throw like in an idol, you know, like just something at that final 4 to really mix things up. And they just didn't. You know, it's just like basic Survivor, you know, for the last 3 episodes of the game.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing about like maybe my biggest disappointment of the game was the last episode was my biggest disappointment, and that was just because I like how the whole thing was run. Personally, for me, I didn't like whoever won. I'm not going to like who stayed and how they were voted out and all of that thing, but what production did and how they ran this final one. Like I said earlier, I was really excited to see them all on stage and having at least a little bit. I mean, just give us like 15 minutes, give us a little discussion, but they weren't having that this year. And so I felt a little let down at the end just because of that particular part. And these things like the Billie Eilish, it took, when I saw that Billie Eilish doesn't even watch Survivor and could care less, but she had a movie coming out, and so that's why they asked her to do it, because they were part of the same agency or whatever, you know, and it just like took like lame. Okay, so that kind of pissed me off and disappointed me. The person that I thought exceeded my expectations, it has to be for me, Tiffany. I thought she got so far into the game. She did such a great job. I, of course, wanted to see her go all the way to the end. But we didn't see as much of her in her first season. And I thought she really capitalized on things and pushed herself. One, I guess I didn't even remember her being this immunity beast person, but she really had she was right behind Jonathan and like literally a second or so. And this was this challenge. That challenge that she was in had a lot of physicality to it. So she's not, Jonathan's this big physical player, but she brought so much physicality to it. And then also did so well. I mean, she was methodical with that puzzle. She really knew what she was doing. So for me, it was really to see her come a long way, and I think we'll see her again. I'd rather see her again over Rizzo, honestly, just to see how she does when she gets a little more mature. I can't wait to see. There's still like her little blow up at the end and how she got a little snarky. I think that will be tempered a bit as she comes back in. She'll try to pull more of that Suri. I'm just going to lay back a little and pay attention and move a little quieter. And then she'll be absolutely tremendous. So that's my favorite. We've got some more audience stuff going on here. Eating grubs like a psycho really. Brie. Yeah, I guess. The gimmicks didn't. Yeah, the gimmicks, the Mr. Beast part I thought was great. You brought a big, huge audience in. I mean, we want to keep Survivor on the air. So top ranking of the worst winners, Chris Underwood, Natalie White, and now Aubrey Bracco. All right.
Can I say something about this worst list? Fuqua, I understand that you don't like Aubrey. I get it. Aubrey wasn't there to be a favorite winner. She was there to win $2 million, and she played the game that she needed to play this season, especially with so many people playing high intense games like Ozzy, like Suri, like Jonathan, I think, was playing pretty intensely. Dee had a streak where she was ready to go, man. Like, you see those many players, and as you start the game, if you are a smart Survivor player, you're like, here is 7 meat shields that I have. I don't have to really start playing this game until a little bit later in the season, because they're just going to dice each other up. And all I got to do is eliminate them right before the end, to where if I eliminate these 3 players, I win this game because I helped eliminate those players. So, like, I get it, but I don't think anybody, I would not care. If I was to be $2 million winner or being on somebody's favorite list, I could care less about favorite lists. I'm gonna say one thing about Tiffany. I think if in a returning season, if what you have to do is, if you make it to the top 5, is you eliminate the people who have not made it anywhere close to like 5th or 6th place. We've seen it time and time again that this person, Amber, won All-Star season playing from a weird position. She was like in 7th seed her season. Sarah Lacina was a mid-season vote out. Tiffany, mid-season vote out. Aubrey was getting worse. Like, those are the players you have to get out early in this game so that they don't exceed. it's the devil you do know versus the devil you don't, like Rizzo said all season. And Tiffany post merge, nobody knew, and this is who she is, and it was beautiful, and she deserved to win. And now Aubrey deserves to win because she saw that she needed to get Tiff out. So that's all I'll say about that.
There we go.
Soapbox.
We do have our fan of the week, so I want to bring Ruth up onto the stage and welcome her. How you doing? Great to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
This is the first podcast I've ever been on. Very exciting.
Wonderful. This is a great place to be because we are just chilling, having fun. So we love to have new people on. What was your thought about like who exceeded expectations for you this season?
Yeah, I definitely think Tiffany was a true underdog. I looked up when you were talking if she had got any immunity in her first season, and she didn't. And so, yeah, to go from 0 to like 3 or 4, arguably, is like really cool, obvious. But as for like less obvious players, I would say that Devon's really impressed me. Like, I don't know, he's playing the same sort of game that he did last time, but just like the depth that he hit and like that last tribal council about the stars, like that really spoke to me and was like both about the game but also just like life in general. So
yeah,
And
Devon's
Ruth,
was joyful.
Ruth, just so I can kind of understand your Survivor perspective, who's your favorite Survivor player all time?
I mean, man, I really like Ozzy. His first season was just so epic. There's a lot of great players on that season, like Parvati. But I also like for New Era, Kenzie and 46. I think her energy was like very compassionate, but still like in command.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really cool vibe. And yeah, they were really struggling in the beginning there. So,
no, that's great. Yeah, I didn't particularly clock Kenzie when she was playing her season, but I think if you would watch it back, you'd be like, wow, she really played a really masterful. I think she's like one where you got to watch her season back and really like see like, she played a really good game. So okay, cool. So Ozzy, so you were rooting for Ozzy on the season to win, I would assume.
Yeah, I was hoping that he'd like reverse the curse in his sense of like playing the idol when his gut was saying that, but I get that like, intuition gets clouded by things.
Did you just say that because John Bill paid you money to say that you're an Ozzy fan?
No.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe it.
We do like Ozzy. I mean, he did bring a lot to the game. I thought he brought a lot this season that we hadn't seen before. I think his story is complete. It was cool to have. We wanted him back. So I think he was an important part of this season. And I love to see the relationship he built with Sari even deeper. And they really, they were ride or die for each other. They would have gone to the end. They would have done things to get through. Not everybody can have the wherewithal to see beyond things. I think if, Rizzo had a little bit more of that, he would have seen that bringing Aubrey wasn't the right move, and maybe getting rid of her before Tiff would have been the right move to do, because hindsight's always 2020, so we can look at that.
Totally.
But we were like calling it. I was saying you can't bring Aubrey to the end because she's old school player, and the ties that bind there are so strong that you can't make her an option because she will beat you hands down on anything. And good on Jonathan that he got some votes, but Aubrey was pretty much the winner on that. And so it's hard it's hard to see what people are doing and go with your gut and understand it. But man, Ozzy had a dream about it. Like, he dreamt about it. If that's not a sign telling you something, I don't know what is.
And if he listened to the dream, listened to whatever, he plays his idol, Aubrey goes home, and guess what? We have a completely different game. That him in that conversation, yes, we love Ozzy. He did great. But a note from his dad allows him to just be a little bit too honest with the person that he wants to go home. And that's where emotions get into the situation. And he turns into the old Ozzy. Second, changes the game completely. That moment.
Yeah, that moment right there.
Well, one thing that we saw this episode that we were all wanting, but I think fell a little bit flat, was the loved ones visit. We're like, we want the loved ones visit. We want the loved ones, and then they get it, and I'm like, this isn't the loved ones visit. So on Australian Survivor, they do it. On Australian Survivor, they always have this epic endurance challenge, which is like, we need to bring this back to American Survivor, but American Survivor, keeping your arm up for an hour is like a struggle for them, right? So like these 6 hour, they're like crucified, in Australian Survivor, and then their loved ones come and they're like, come on, mom, keep it up, mom, push it. So they don't have that on American Survivor. So they bring them in and then they just like kick them off. It's like the weirdest loved ones visit ever. If they're going to bring them out, why not bring them out at 6 and like have them play for loved ones and make it some dramatic thing? And, some of them don't even get to hug their mom, like it was just a weird, so did the fans vote for that? I don't know. What do you guys think of that? It fell a little flat, didn't it?
I would have loved the Australian Survivor version of that. And I wonder if that was more like a US wide thing, that we're bringing it kind of like Aussie, but we're not going to do it all the way like Aussie. Because I think them talking to their mums from the sideline, you're better Australian, is awesome. And especially during a game like Commotion, where you have to like pay attention and concentrate, that any word that could have been said or done could have screwed them up royally. So I agree, like bringing the Aussie loved one visit any day.
Ruth, what about that?
I liked when they brought the loved ones in for a challenge of some sort. Like, that is a fun dynamic. But yeah, this season loved ones visit felt really like rushed and kind of just like, hey, we did it, but it was like a couple minutes of them just like one hug for each person. Okay, let's next thing.
What was up with Jonathan? Jonathan's, was it his little brother? Because he was dressed up like a bait. That was interesting.
Luigi
costume
or Mario
choice.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was Mario. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know if he was, but that's what he dressed up like. Like that was like Mario Brothers 2.
It was an interesting choice.
I was like,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Just leave it at that. It was definitely an interesting choice. Well, we've only got about 11 minutes left. We got lots to talk about, but I got to bring up on stage Brandon, who always does all of our fun slides for the season. Here we go. Walk us through this quickly so that we can have a little time left for season 51 that we got a
Yes.
sneak peek of.
Yes, very, very quickly. So Aubrey was a favorite going into this last episode, with Tiffany right behind her in both categories. I shouldn't say right behind her. Winner prediction, everybody had her winning, and it's probably because they're like, hey, I don't think Tiffany's going to win 2 in a row. She is in danger of everybody. We were right. Unanimous vote. She goes home. Everybody had Aubrey, Joe, and Jonathan at the end, which is exactly what it was. So Vanua, which is the greatest Facebook site that's out there, completely right at the end of the season. There's the votes out that we talked about, just a unanimous decision for Tiffany. And then this is the stats for Tiffany. I think that she has a great chance to be a next returning winner. So I'm gonna give a hot take right now. Tiffany will win her next returning season. This is why she sat side by side, mentored by Sari, people love her enough to coach her to a winning spot. And unlike Suri, she actually has the chance to win because she has the game that Suri does not have, and that is the physical approach, which you can use the physical game as a strategy if you have the physical approach, giving her even a bigger cushion over Suri. Suri just has to coach her on how to react to certain situations, not in the cool, calm, collected moment, but how to ask the right questions, which is Suri's. That's her silver nugget, golden tuna, whatever color, whatever dessert you want or dinner you want to use. If she teaches that to Tiffany, she takes her under her wing. She's got 4 immunity wins, only 6 losses total, including reward challenges, folks. That's how dominant she was in the challenges. Made, I think, a lot of good relationships throughout the game. Was 5 for 4 for voting, but they kept her in anyways. So she chose, of course, Rizzo and Jonathan. We were, I think, dead on the whom beats who. This is who we thought pre-game that we thought that everybody was going to vote for. And if you look at where Aubrey, Jonathan, Joe is, almost everything is right when we talked about except for, and that was probably my getting it wrong. And I thought that Devins would have said Jonathan over Aubrey, only because I think he would have seen that idol play as more crippling and more of his responsibility of how that all went. But he chose Aubrey, which I think was right as well. We won't get into that, not enough time, but audacious Aubrey, she wins. Just a little bit of things to cover real quick. Congratulations to Benjamin, who won our fantasy draft with his 6 with a 12th overall pick of Aubrey. And the person who did better than him is somebody named Johnny Fairplay in our Castaway versus podcaster draft. He got a first pick.
Right.
Now, he stole this. He said his first 2 picks were actually picks. He said that he picks wrong every single time. So his first pick was really Jenna, who went out first. But congratulations to Johnny. Fair play on that. Fans of the week, they're right there. We have our last week with us right now. Just to let you guys know, on Vanilla, we did create a real Hands of the Fans experience where we had you guys all season vote on location, vote on type of season, and vote in the players. Am I online? Am I here?
Yeah, I can hear you still.
Okay, good. And they picked Tanzania. They want to go back to Africa. They want a fans versus favorites. I'm here to tell you that if you look at today's, we played the whole entire season, simulcasted it on a very cool system called the Steel Brantley, I believe, the Brantley Steel. Check it out, Brantley Steel. Google it. It will give you the ability to customize a whole entire season of Survivor. So we added 12 favorites and 12 of our fan of the week. And our fan of the week, Carmini Best Vader, won the simulated version. You get no prize except for I can make a poster out of this for you, Carmini. But congratulations on that. That was the cast that people want to see. They want to see Rob and Kelly Wentworth and Joe and Marianne, Jesse, Jerry Manthony, Rupert, Carolyn, Malcolm, Janet, Dominic, and Michaela, which I think would be a fantastic season. But that's not what we're getting for 51, are we, Brie?
That's not what we're getting for 51. It's going to be an interesting season. I wanted everybody to kind of weigh in on, they're giving, it said anything goes. They're bringing everything back. What does that mean? And what ridiculousness is going to happen if I'm so confused. Somebody help me. I don't know what that means, because it bothers me that we're going to have some really ridiculousness that's going to maybe, as we saw this season, kind of cheat people, production control how the season goes, which I don't like.
Right. Well, like I said, I'm a Survivor purist, but I will, we complained about this season, or I thought that, there needed to be more twists because some of the twists did fall flat and didn't work. And if you actually look at the episodes, I can understand why they would want almost every episode to have some sort of twist. because it then does structure the episode and it adds an element of drama, surprise. It is kind of like a format that they, I think, were testing a little bit by introducing like, okay, this is the, Jimmy Fallon, twist episode, right? So I could see why they would maybe every single episode would have some sort of, here's something you don't expect happen is going to happen, right? And so I think they're probably going to be testing that out. Will it cause more happenstance, luck, people getting voted off who maybe shouldn't have been voted off? Yes. And is that classic old school Survivor? No. But I don't know if it's the worst thing, as long as, like I said, I think that they have to do this because some of these crazy twists that they do just aren't going to pan out, So that's what I think. And if there was like I said, I think this game needed some twist towards the end where there was, another type of duel or, a flip of a coin, just something to change it. So, people who are totally down and out, like in that TIFF vote, right? There's nothing she could have done. There's no wiggle room. What about a 1 in 100 chance? You know what I mean? Or like an idol or they can all team up and it's TIFF against 4, right?
When does the shot in the dark go away?
They said it at 5, so when Rizzo, I believe. But they do this on Australian Survivor sometimes where they have a challenge at Tribal Council. And I think that they want to try out more types of twist, so then they can maybe find a winning formula of what is a good twist and what does introduce a good storyline or a good
that is a good question. How do you help somebody who's the best at 6, right? The best at 5? Because if you're saying, hey, just play in the middle of the pack, then are you asking for your season of whatever it is to be a season of mediocrity, right? Because you don't want them to play, guns blazing, balls to the walls type thing. So it's curious to me why they wouldn't do that in a season where maybe if they're wanting more explosive winners. You gotta try figure out how to get that 5th and 6th place tribal a little something else, whether that's shot in the dark can continue throughout. Maybe it goes to a 1 in 4 shot in the dark. I don't know. That's
well, I don't think any episode is interesting when somebody gets voted off who's a complete sitting duck. And there's nothing that's going to happen. There's nothing that's going to change that. You're just like, okay, that episode was like a wash. I knew he was going out from the beginning of the episode. He got voted off. Like, can we just get to next week?
Can I vote for this one? Can I vote for what I want? Sari Field at Final Four, that she gets to enter the game every season until she wins. I'm here for that.
Every time. It's funny. That's funny.
I kind of feel like in this season with so many twists, not having any twists for like the last 2 is a bit like, feels a bit like heavy. And then you're like, oh, the end is supposed to be like the finale climax, the most chaotic one. And it was just kind of like, oh, yep, that's the logical order of things. That's these people, and that's how it's going to go. But yeah, it would be interesting to see which particular twist they have back. I feel like the 2 that I wouldn't think would work as well in just like a new player season would be the double duo and like the vote yourself out, because we don't have those same connections with like new players. And then also like if you make a rule that someone has to vote themselves out, I feel like that person who isn't as invested in Survivor, like the returning people, would be like, what the heck, you rigged the game, man. Like, so those are my thoughts.
Alex, you're muted, but you look great.
With the vote yourself off, they could do it, but you just have to tell everybody. That was such a weird twist. Jimmy Fallon needs to watch some more episodes. Like, that was a really, that one was just bad all around. I don't think anybody liked that. And it wasn't, it didn't, like, how's that even a twist? It's just, I don't know. So that was a bad one. Obviously, Billie Eilish. And I mean, was there even, we voted for twist. How many twists were there? 3? 4? Because Zach Brown came out and played a song. Was that even a twist?
No,
was
that
just a
was
challenge. So they're like, the
report.
fans wanted all these twists. Expect anything, the craziest season ever. And there's like 3 twists. Like
Well, Billie
we've had
Eilish-
seasons when there was 4 idols at play at one time.
I think the Billie Eilish could have been cool if they allowed that person to play it for whoever they want. That would have changed the game, and that would have been probably fireworks, 3 more fireworks sometime throughout the game. But they had to play it on themselves, which I think Rizzo could have made a big move by playing his idol for somebody because we knew he wasn't going to be touched, and that would have given a little bit of ammunition for the end of the game. I think the same thing for Aubrey. She had to just play it because she had to play on herself. Could she have used that to play for somebody else? I think so. So I think the Billie Eilish problem could have been 2 things. 1, alert Billie Eilish to be excited about this, and 2, to be able to play that on anybody else. That was a weird thing for that Eilish.
Yeah, well, you had Billie Eilish, so that was a fail. You had Zach Brown, that was a fail. Like that was just a reward kind of experience. Jimmy Fallon, I mean, it was dramatic, but I didn't like that he had to vote for himself. I would have preferred him just to lose his vote. But I can't deny that the Mr. Beast one was huge. And one of the things I'd love to see, if you're changing things, Jeff, and you want a little advice, would you keep the 2 million, or would you even think about going up to 5 million and making this a really serious, crazy game? Those are the twists. But when I heard they were going to be like, we're bringing everything back, I kind of encompassed everything, because he did say everything. And so my thought on that is, are we going to see competition teams again where they have to knock stuff off or catch something or like hit each other with the big baton things, right? To knock each other off the platforms? Maybe bring some of that back. And then, of course, the food challenge, not one of my favorites. I usually skip that part because it kind of grosses me out. And I don't like trying really randomly weird things that don't like, I can't watch someone eat a bug. So it's just gross. But could it come back? So when he says everything, my mind goes to those things. What does everybody else think?
Well, you look at the season, it's all young people again. Very, very young. Doesn't look like they have kind of this, they got, like a big swath of people. Kind of looks like a lot of the previous season 40 seasons, kind of the same type of workplace retreat, young person. They got their quirks. Yeah, they're goofy. One guy's got a funny little voice, that type of thing. But I agree, Brie, what you're saying. I mean, I think there's 2 tribes. Maybe they do bring back some of the physical challenges. I'd probably say no, because there's just such a risk of people getting hurt, and you even saw it on, Kyle, even the most simplest challenge, dude breaks his leg, ruptures his Achilles. So I don't know if you'll ever see super physical challenges back in an American Survivor. But I think that, you go back and you look at all the twist, and you look at, maybe Exile Island is back. I would appreciate seeing that, more survivalism, more, I think the fire making challenge, the fans voted for that. And I love that type of challenge because it actually tests some survival skill, and it's a skill around survival. Exile Island was similar to that. So I'd like to see more physical strife, and, they're in Fiji, and it's just, it's 82 degrees every single day type of stuff. So I'd like to see more, and more camp life, there's, and that's what Rizzo said too. He's like, new school Survivor, everyone just sits in the hammock. Like nobody does anything around camp. It's not about survival anymore. That's new school. And I don't think that's going to change, but maybe they could push them a little bit harder and make it something that they have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
But I think because of the constraint of the number of days, it's just not a priority for anybody anymore. You can just not eat for 20 days.
Right. I want to thank Ruth for being on the show today. Thanks so much for being here and being a super fan of Survivor. We love that. Please give us your last thoughts as we let you go and wrap the show up.
Well, yes, it was a pleasure. I am very excited for 51, see if they'll have any watch parties, but yeah, we'll see what everything means then, I guess.
Definitely on the wait and see. Well, thanks so much, Ruth. Have a great day. Appreciate it. We're going to wrap things up here. With the guys we started out with, we brought Jonville in. She'll be back. Don't fret. We love having her as part of the team, and sorry that she couldn't be here as we wrap things up today. But it is the end of season 50, which means we'll be taking a little bit of hiatus. We love that you guys are hanging out with us and being so active in the. You guys really mean the world to us. That's why we love doing this. We just love Survivor as much as you do, which is why we decided to have a podcast. And so I'll let everyone I know Brandon's got to get going, and Alex, we all have things to do in our days. But I wanted to say personally, thank you. This season has been so much fun, and it's fun because of the fans that are in the audience with the comments, and because you guys are such great co-hosts. I love hanging out with you.
Yeah, same all around everything you just said. The show has been great. Big experience has been, not because necessarily the TV show, but the fandom around it this season. This season has revitalized it here, especially in America, with all the challenges and the watch parties and everything else. There's a new excitement in the air for the open area, which I'm excited about. Jay, I'm right there with you. A mutiny would be great. So keep on trying Survivor. I think you hit it on a couple of notes. Don't allow talk shows to give you their whole entire idea. Jeff Probst, you are doing great. I love that you love the season. It's so much fun to see your passion in this. And congratulations once again. Well deserved, Aubrey Bracco.
Alex, final thoughts?
Yeah, good season. Medium grade, B plus, I guess. B, started off really good, ended okay. So, we're happy. We like Survivor. Excited for the new season. We'll always watch. True fans to the end. Thank you, Bree, for being such a great host.
She's awesome. And we love Bree.
Yeah, we love Bree. Thank you so much, Bree. Always a great producer, podcast producer, and looking forward to next season.
Thanks,
Bree,
everybody.
your final thoughts. Wrap us up.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Season 50 lived up to my expectations, bringing back old school players that I've loved and missed seeing on my screen and back on the beach. So I hope we get more of that. I want to see Kelly Wentworth back. There's so many players that we didn't get to see. Carolyn, I mean, it's just incredible. So please give us more of that. We do love it. Mix it up. And just enjoy it, what it is. These people are out there on the beach surviving, getting along, learning how to work with each other and backstab each other. And we are always here for the ride. So we'll try to spill more tea as much as we can. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.